And we are live. Welcome one and welcome all to the one and the only Junk Shop Library channel, home of the most irreverent Bible study to go through each excruciating verse of the King James Bible and then give it the horrible, unpleasant, experimental humanist treatment it so deserves and should have been subjected to 500 years ago. Thank you all so much for joining us. We are in the book of Job, which may or may not ever have an ending. We're still up in the air about that. Good to see everybody. Let me say a quick hello to the chat, which has been filling up steadily with people since I had to bounce over into this window. I see Morton Nielsen. Hello. As always, good to see you, my friend. Doc Fearsome, the non-doc doctor, is in the chat. Atheist Donna is here. Godless Granny. Mama Atheist. Amanda, good to see you as always. Geo Sam is here, dropping his infamous eyeballs. All right, fantastic. We've got so many folks here, and I love it. Wonderful, wonderful. A full house. All righty. Well, we've got a couple of small announcements to make before we get underway. First and foremost, as you may remember from last time, Junk Shop got merch. Whoops, nope. Did I not say hello to Paul in the chat? Hello, Paul. I'm sorry, I really thought I did. I did not forget about you. I'm just fighting technologies. Damn it. All right. If you are interested in officially licensed Junk Shop Library merch, you can visit the link that I think I just correctly dropped in the chat, though I don't know because I've never tried this before. Morton bought stickers. Fantastic. Thank you so much, my friend. I hope you enjoy them, and I hope they arrive in something approaching a timely fashion. I don't know. This is my first encounter with the Teespring. We will see. Yes, there are stickers, there are mugs, there are, I must confess, enormously overpriced hoodies, tank tops, tote bags, and something else that I'm forgetting. All of these bear various in-jokes and or hashtags that we have created here in the Junk Shop Library community. Have a shop. All righty. Now you know what time it is. It's time for Junk Shop to figure out if he knows his right from his left. Well, I can't get my hands even, no matter which way I do this, but I did get the pointing at the crawler going in the right direction. No Aunt Jern, no G-strings yet. They're leggings. Leggings is the thing that I forgot. They read, "Smite me, baby," across the back. It was very late, and I was very drunk. Seemed like a good idea at the time. But the crawler, as you see, bears the names of my fantabulous patrons. These are the folks who have bounced over to patreon.com/junkshoplibrary and signed up for as little as $1 a month to support the channel in its ongoing efforts and ongoing improvements. And it's due to their contributions that we're able to do what we do and hopefully do it better and better as time goes on. These folks in alphabetical order are Atheist Pastor, Aunt Jur, B, Bill, Brainbug, Mark Caesar, Paul Camish, Gary, Ilya Moon, Kim, Linda, The Lone Wanderer, Math Pig, Mama Atheist, Nikki, Rain, and Santi. Woo! That was harder to do in one breath than No Illusions makes it sound like. All right. Ricardo Oliveira in the chat. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you all so much. Thank you one and all. It really does make an enormous, enormous difference. All right. Let me see. Seems to me there was something else I was trying to remind myself to do. But because I was feeling stubborn this morning, I said, nah, old Junk Shop will remember. I don't need to write it down. Silly Junk Shop. That was indeed my first mistake. Silly Junk Shop. No, no, no. Never trust the memory. Memory, as a dear friend of mine likes to say, is shit. All right. Well, if it's important, it'll come back to me. Amanda says she's disappointed there is no junk shopping merch. Hopefully that will continue to be an ever distant in the memory inside joke. But that's an interesting idea. I could play around with that. That could be interesting. Y'all remember to fire any ideas and suggestions my way, because now I'm having inspirations and ideas. Oh, Godless Granny just reminded me of it by the fact of being in the chat. There's also socks. They have the Smiters hashtag and a tiny little incarnation of the Junk Shop Library window garden in much better resolution than it seems to have come across on the mug, I believe. Purple rhymes with orange. Hello, my friend. Good to see you as always. All right. Well, the chat is full. The announcements have been announced. The caffeine is entering the bloodstream. Y'all know what time it is. Buckle up, y'all. It's the word of the Lord. We plunge today into the book of Job, one of the longest subsections of the big book of war crimes and outdated regulations, utter madness and abuse. Who's gonna blather on and repeat themselves poetically today? I wonder, I wonder. Where the fuck were we last time? I gotta start checking off these chapters as I go again. That's right, we did A Life as the Temanite last time. Chapter 22 took us over onto the next page. Chapter 23, which I'm going to go ahead and check off preemptively. Sorry, y'all, I got spoiled in the obvious narration of Ezra and Nehemiah, and now we're in a book of poetry, and I'm really going to have to pay attention. "23. Then Job answered and said, Even today is my complaint bitter. My stroke is heavier than my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would order my cause before him and fill my mouth with arguments. I would know the words which he would answer me and understand what he would say unto me. Will he plead against me with his great power? No, but he would put strength in me. There the righteous might dispute with him, so should I be delivered forever from my judge. Behold, I go forward, but he is not there, and backward, but I cannot perceive him. On the left hand where he doth work, but I cannot behold him. He hideth himself on the right hand, that I cannot see him. But he knoweth the way that I take. When he hath tried me, I shall come forth as gold. My foot hath held his steps, his way have I kept, and not declined. Neither have I gone back from the commandment of his lips. I have esteemed the words of his mouth more than my necessary food. But he is in one mind, and who can turn him? And what doth his soul desireth, even that he doeth? For he performeth the thing that is appointed for me, and many such things are with him. Therefore am I troubled at his presence. When I consider, I am afraid of him. For God maketh my heart soft, and the Almighty troubleth me. Because I was cut off before the darkness, neither hath he covered the darkness from my face. And that's chapter 23. Poor me, says Job. I am indeed in dire straits, and not in a rock and roll kind of way. God's mad at me, and I don't know why, and I can't find him to ask. And that's the chapter. Truly riveting stuff here, isn't it? Some awesome poetry. Dave, you're slacking on the job. Somebody else bringing the naughty into the chat. Mark Caesar says, my stroke is never heavier than my groaning. Hang on, I'm thinking of something else. Oh, fantastic. Good, Paul. I'm glad you found. I can talk, I promise. I went to college. I hope you enjoy it. It works just as well for tea as it does for coffee. Aunt Jura suggests to follow Satan. He's nicer. Yep, you ain't wrong. At least so far, we haven't had any instances of Satan fucking over his servants just to win a bet. Anything else there in that chapter? As far as I can tell, it's just poor me. What did I do to piss God off? Interesting, though, that his friends, there's something. Purple says Satan throws better parties. Yeah. It's a tea mug, not a coffee mug. It's your mug, my friend. It can be for anything. You know, all this time, Job has been rejoining unto his friends and saying, I did not fuck up. This is not my fault. This is misery brought on me by God for reasons I am unaware of. But now he's starting to turn a little bit. He says, I'd really like to know why this misery hath been brought upon me. Why have my dromedaries been stolen by the Chaldeans? And why has the roof fallen upon my sons? And presumably his daughters too. Because you remember his daughters were partying with his sons. It just neglected to mention whether or not they died in the wind apocalypse as well. Purple points out it is a valid question for Job to be asking at this point in the narrative. Indeed. The Lone Wanderer is here. Hello. Somebody make sure and drop Lone's channel link in the description. And turn on your notifications, because I just get entirely too much joy out of the Word of the Day series popping up in my inbox every morning. It's fantastic. All right, 24. Job continues. Hey, sent you the same. Good to see you, my friend. 24. Why, seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty, do they that know him not see his days? Some remove the landmarks. They violently take away flocks and feed thereof. They drive away the ass of the fatherless. They take the widow's ox for a pledge. They turn the needy out of the way. The poor of the earth hide themselves together. Behold, as wild asses in the desert go they forth to their work, rising betimes for a prey. The wilderness yieldeth food for them and for their children. They reap every one his corn in the field, and they gather the vintage of the wicked. They cause the naked to lodge without clothing, that they have no covering in the cold. They are wet with the showers of the mountains, and embrace the rock for want of a shelter. They pluck the fatherless from the breast, and take a pledge of the poor. They cause him to go naked without clothing, and they take away the sheaf from the hungry. which make oil within their walls, and tread their wine presses, and suffer thirst. Men groan from out of the city, and the soul of the wounded crieth out, yet God layeth not folly to them. They are of those that rebel against the light. They know not the ways thereof, nor abide in the paths thereof. The murderer, rising with the light, killeth the poor and needy, and in the night is as a thief. The eye also of the adulterer waiteth for the twilight, saying, No eye shall see me, and disguiseth his face. In the dark they dig through houses which they had marked for themselves in the daytime. They know not the light. For the morning is to them even as the shadow of death. If one know them, they are in the terrors of the shadows of death. He is swift as the waters. Their portion is cursed in the earth. He beholdeth not the way of the vineyards. Drought and heat consume the snow waters. So doth the grave those which have sinned. The womb shall forget him. The worm shall feed sweetly on him. He shall be no more remembered, and wickedness shall be broken as a tree. He evil entreateth the barren that beareth not, and doeth not good to the widow. He draweth also the mighty with his power. He riseth up, and no man is sure of life. Though it be given him to be in safety, whereon he resteth, yet his eyes are upon their ways. They are exalted for a little while, but are gone and brought low. They are taken out of the way as all other, and cut off as the tops of the ears of corn. And if it be not so now, who will make me a liar, and make my speech nothing worth? And that's 24. Hey, Ilya Moon, good to see you. Okay, so yet another chapter of Job lamenting the fact that the evildoer periodically prospereth, but reminding that all men must die. And doing so at great length. Great length, and with an inordinate amount of repetition. I'm going to come to hate poetry by the end of this, aren't I? Yeah, mysterious are the ways of the Lord. Sometimes he allows the wicked to prosper. But we're all going to die in the end. Yay! So much notifications. Ilya says, can I go now? Hit the like button before you do, please, and thank you. God, there's nothing to get your teeth into here. Y'all, this book makes me tired. It's just, so much. All right, chapter 25. Yeah, exactly. Mark Caesar says, mysterious are the ways of the Lord, almost like pure chance even. Yeah, no kidding. All right, chapter 25. Then answered Bildad the Shuhite, and said, dominion and fear are with him. He maketh peace in his high places. Is there any number of his armies? And upon whom doth not his light arise? How can man be justified with God? Or how can he be clean that is born of a woman? Behold, even to the moon, and it shineth not. Yea, the stars are not pure in his sight. How much less a man that is a worm, and the son of man, which is a worm? And that's chapter 25. There's no such thing as righteousness, because God's a celestial badass, and no one can stand righteous in his sight. Least of all you, Mr. Job, so stop blathering on about how righteous you were and how much it's not your fault that you've been smitten with loss of property and of children and with boils. Brainbug says the like button is gone. What the hell? I'll not believe it. Weird. Well, at least it was a short chapter. "26. But Job answered and said, How hast thou helped him that is without power? How savest thou the arm that hath no strength? How hast thou counseled him that hath no wisdom? And how hast thou plentifully declared the thing as it is? To whom hast thou uttered words, and whose spirit came from thee? Dead things are formed from under the waters, and the inhabitants thereof. Hell is naked before him, and destruction hath no covering. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. He bindeth up the waters in his thick clouds, and the cloud is not rent under them. He holdeth back the face of his throne, and spreadeth his cloud upon it. He hath compassed the waters with bounds until the day and night come to an end. The pillars of heaven tremble, and are astonished at his reproof. He divideth the sea with his power, and by his understanding he smiteth through the proud. By his spirit he hath garnished the heavens. His hand hath formed the crooked serpent. Lo, these are parts of his ways, but how little a portion is heard of him. But the thunder of his power, who can understand? And that's 26. In which Job turns to his friend and says, well, you're no fucking help. I get it. God's an impressive, righteous badass, but your blathering on about that is no help, because I already know this. Look how miserable I am, sitting on the dust heap, covered in sores. Speak comfort to me, Jacob Marley. Well, on the plus side, with these short-ass chapters, we indeed are going to get to the end of this fucking book sooner than I was afraid we would. Doc Fearsome says, Job just needs to play the country music backwards. Paul says they're not chapters, more like a sentence. Yeah, seriously. I mean, especially in slang. Uh-oh. All right, hang on. Okay, good. I'm back. Morton says, damn, is he still sitting there? I missed Wednesday's episode of Job, and we have not yet progressed. This is a long one, isn't it? Yes. It's one of the longest books of the Bible, and almost the entire thing takes side of town and on the plus side, we're more than halfway through the book, so y'all pardon me, my hay fever. Okay. 27. Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, As God liveth, who hath taken away my judgment, and the Almighty, who hath vexed my soul, all the while my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils, my lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. God forbid that I should justify you. Till I die, I will not remove up against me as the unrighteous. For what is the hope of the hypocrite? Though he hath gained, when God taketh away his soul. Will God hear my cry when trouble cometh upon him? Will he delight himself in the Almighty? Will he always call upon God? I will teach you by the hand of God. That which is with the Almighty will I not conceal. Behold, all ye yourselves have seen it. Why then are ye thus altogether vain? This is the portion of a wicked man with God, and the heritage of oppressors which they shall receive of the Almighty. If his children be multiplied, it is for the sword, and his offspring shall not be satisfied with bread. Those that remain of him shall be buried in death, and his widows shall not weep. Though he heap up silver as the dust, and prepare raiment as the clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. He buildeth his house as a moth, and as a booth that the keeper maketh. The rich man shall lie down, but he shall not be gathered. He openeth his eyes, and he is not. Terrors take hold on him as waters. A tempest stealeth him away in the night. The east wind carrieth him away, and he departeth, and as a storm hurleth him out of his place. For God shall cast upon him, and not spare. He would fain flee out of his hand. Men shall clap their hands at him, and shall hiss him out of his place. And that's 27. I see I was junk shopping there for a minute. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with the internet, because we know it's not the computer. My bandwidth or something is just not good. Hiss like a snake. Yet more God is righteous. Yet more I am righteous in the sight of God. And yet more, despite how prosperous the wicked may be in their lifetime, they will eventually get their just reward and also die. Ugh, let's hope not forever alone. There's got to be something that can be done. There must be. Y'all, my lord, I used to complain about the repetition in some earlier books, but this is fucking ridiculous. Am I missing something? This seems like a lot of words on any given page for me to be able to summarize it in one breath each time we do a chapter. We're all going to die. Sometimes bad shit happens to good people, and I want to know why when it's me, and sometimes the wicked prosper. That's the entire book so far. Starting to get frustrated with this book. Starting to? Yeah. No wonder they didn't teach this shit to us chapter by chapter the way they did some other books back in Sunday school and church and days. It would have driven the Sunday school teachers out of their goddamn minds, and we'd have all been bored positively shitless by the time we hit double digits of chapters. Yeah, Brainbug says, I want my dinosaurs. Yeah, you and me both. 28. Surely there is a vein for the silver, and a place for gold where they find it. Iron is taken out of the earth, and brass is molten out of the stone. He setteth an end to darkness, and searcheth out all perfection, the stones of darkness, and the shadow of death. The flood breaketh out from the inhabitant, even the waters forgotten of the foot. They are dried up, they are gone away from men. As for the earth, out of it cometh bread, and under it is turned up as if it were fire. The stones on it are the place of sapphires, and it hath dust of gold. There is a path which no fowl knoweth, which the vulture's eye hath not seen. The lion's whelps have not trodden it, nor the fierce lion passed by it. He putteth forth his hand upon the rock. He overturneth the mountains by the roots. He cutteth out rivers among the rocks, and his eye seeth every precious thing. He bindeth the floods from overflowing, and the thing that is hid bringeth he forth to light. But where shall wisdom be found, and where is the place of understanding? Man knoweth not the price thereof, neither is it found in the land of the living. The depth saith, it is not in me, and the sea saith, it is not with me. It cannot be gotten for gold, neither shall silver be weighed for the price thereof. It cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx, or the sapphire. The gold and the crystal cannot equal it, and the exchange of it shall not be for jewels of fine gold. No mention shall be made of coral or of pearls, for the price of wisdom is above rubies. The topaz of Ethiopia shall not equal it, neither shall it be valued with pure gold. Whence then cometh wisdom, and where is the place of understanding? Seeing it is hid from the eyes of all living, and kept close from the fowls of the air. Destruction and death say, we have heard the fame thereof with our ears. God understandeth the way thereof, and he knoweth the place thereof. For he looketh to the ends of the earth, and seeth under the whole heaven, to make the weight for the winds, and he weigheth the waters by measure. When he made a decree for the rain, and a way for the lightning of the thunder, then did he see it, and declare it. He prepared it, yea, and searched it out. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. 28. Hey, Stool, good to see you. God is a badass, and there's no searching out his wisdom for the men of the earth. Repetition, 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 repetition. Paul Camish says, I'm starting to look forward to the apocalypse. Yeah, right? Yeah, GeoSam, I'm sure it's a bandwidth issue. I don't know. Don't know what to do about it. Lone says it's like waiting for a government worker to finish reading the same disclosure in 80 different ways. That, yes. Yes, it is. Oh my God. Ugh. There's nothing here. At least back in Nehemiah, we had your occasional bit of action, something happening. Hell, back in Numbers, we had an occasional war breakout. A lot of genealogy, but an occasional war. I would say yes, Paul. I would say that saying God's a fucking prick is indeed blasphemy, but it's also true. I don't think blasphemy has to necessarily be untrue. This book, y'all. $29. Moreover, Job continued his parable and said, "Oh, that I were as in months past, as in the days when God preserved me, when his candle shined upon my head, and when by his light I walked through the darkness. As I was in the days of my youth, when the secret of God was upon my tabernacle, when the Almighty was yet with me, when my children were about me, when I washed my steps with butter, and the rock poured me out rivers of oil, when I went out to the gate through the city, when I prepared my seat in the street. The young men saw me and hid themselves, and the aged arose and stood up. The princes refrained talking and laid their hand on their mouth. The nobles held their peace, and their tongue cleaved to the roof of their mouth. When the ear heard me, then it blessed me, and when the eye saw me, it gave witness to me. Because I delivered the poor that cried, and the fatherless, and him that had none to help him. The blessing of him that was ready to perish came upon me, and I caused the widow's heart to sing for joy. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My judgment was as a robe and a diadem. I was eyes to the blind, and feet was I to the lame. I was a father to the poor, and the cause which I knew not I searched out. And I brake the jaws of the wicked, and plucked the spoil out of his teeth. Then I said, I shall die in my nest, and I shall multiply my days as the sand. My root was spread out by the waters, and the dew lay all night upon my branch. My glory was fresh in me, and my bow was renewed in my hand. Unto me men gave ear, and waited, and kept silence at my counsel. After my words they spake not again, and my speech dropped upon them. And they waited for me as for the rain, and they opened their mouth wide as for the latter rain. If I laughed on them, they believed it not, and the light of my countenance they cast not down. I chose out their way, and sat chief, and dwelt as a king in the army, as one that comforteth the mourners. And that's 29. Shit used to be good for me back in the day. And that's all there is to 29. Now he goes on at some fucking length, as we've come to expect of Mr. Job, who apparently prides himself on his manner of speaking, and did more so back in the day when anybody listened to him, except for his 3 mean-ass friends. But, yep. I used to have a good life back in the day. And that's it. That's all he says in this entire chapter. He goes on and on and on. But all it is if I were a rich man, except in the past tense. And some weird fucking turns of phrase. The dew was all night upon my branch. Sounds dirty. $30. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to have set with the dogs of my flock. Yea, whereto might the strength of their hands profit me, in whom old age was perished? For want and famine they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness in former time, desolate and waste. Who cut up mallows by the bushes, and juniper roots for their meat? They were driven forth from among men. They cried after them as after a thief, to dwell in the cliffs of the valleys, in caves of the earth, and in the rocks. Among the bushes they brayed, under the nettles they were gathered together. They were children of fools, yea, children of base men. They were viler than the earth. And now am I their song, yea, I am their byword. They abhor me, they flee far from me, and spare not to spit in my face. Because he hath loosed my cord and afflicted me, they have also let loose the bridle before me. Upon my right hand rise the youth, they push away my feet, and they raise up against me the ways of their destruction. They mar my path, they set forward my calamity, they have no helper. They came upon me as a wide breaking in of waters, in the desolation they rolled themselves upon me. Terrors are turned upon me, they pursue my soul as the wind, and my welfare passeth away as a cloud. And now my soul is poured out upon me, the days of affliction have taken hold upon me. My bones are pierced in me in the night season, and my sinews take no rest. By the great force of my disease is my garment changed, it bindeth me about as the color of my coat. He hath cast me into the mire, and I am become like dust and ashes. I cry unto thee, and thou dost not hear me. I stand up, and thou regardest me not. Thou art become cruel to me. With thy strong hand thou opposest thyself against me. Thou liftest me up to the wind. Thou causest me to ride upon it, and dissolvest my substance. For I know that thou wilt bring me to death, and to the house appointed for all living. Howbeit he will not stretch out his hand to the grave, though they cry in his destruction. Did not I weep for him that was in trouble? Was not my soul grieved for the poor? When I looked for good, then evil came unto me. And when I waited for light, there came darkness. My bowels boiled and rested not. The days of affliction prevented me. I went mourning without the sun. I stood up, and I cried in the congregation. I am a brother to dragons, and a companion to owls. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. My harp also is tuned to mourning, and my organ into the voice of them that weep. And that's chapter 30. Brother to dragons, huh? This got to be a weird translation moment. What in the hell? Because it sounds badass. I am a brother to dragons and a companion to the owl. Except he says it as part of his lament, that shit's bad for him now and is as bad for him now as it used to be good for him, that he was going on and on about in the previous chapter. Oh, good. Yes. Sorry. Thank you, Julie. Says the companion to owls is an easy one. Means he can't sleep. He's awake all night. Companion to the owls. The dragon thing, however, let's see. Companion, let's see. Brother to dragons. Okay, so dragons would be some kind of weird critter that lives in the wilderness. So that's what it is, right? That he's been cast out because of his uncleanness, and has to live on the dung heap because he's covered in what may or may not count as leprosy. Yeah, sure. Yeah, Mother of Dragons is a Game of Thrones thing, but Brother of Dragons, that's got to be it, doesn't it? That he's been cast out of the city onto the waste heap where the unclean things live.
Yeah, aren't scaled things that aren't fish unclean for some reason?
That seems right. Scaled things that are not fish are unclean. Like you can't eat lizards, you can't eat snakes. So that may be what dragons means. Is creepy crawlies with scales, but not swimmies. Right? Yeah, just a long poetic way of saying, you remember when I said in the last chapter that shit used to be awesome for me and I had great relationships with everybody in the town? Well, now I'm all miserable and shit. Doc says, is that Julie or am I hearing love voices? That's just funny. Mark Caesar says, you can eat those things, but they all taste like chicken. Yep, that's true enough. Ugh, man. Yep, so chapter 29 is shit used to be good for me, and chapter 30 is shit's bad for me now. Except in a much more poetic fashion, and a much greater length. 31. Shit, at this rate, we're going to finish this next week. I'm okay with that. 31. I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? For what portion of God is there from above, and what inheritance of the Almighty from on high? Is not destruction to the wicked, and a strange punishment to the workers of iniquity? Doth he not see my ways, and count all my steps? If I have walked with vanity, or if my foot hath hasted to deceit, let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know mine integrity. If my step hath turned out of the way, and mine heart walks after mine eyes, and if any blot hath cleaved to mine hands, then let me sow and another eat. Yea, let my offspring be rooted out. If mine heart have been deceived by a woman, or if I had laid wait at my neighbor's door, then let my wife grind unto another, and let others bow down upon her. For this is an heinous crime, yea, it is an iniquity to be punished by the judges. For it is a fire that consumeth to destruction, and would root out all mine increase. If I did despise the cause of my manservant or of my maidservant when they contended with me, what then shall I do when God riseth up? And when he visiteth, what shall I answer him? Did not he that made me in the womb make him? And did not one fashion us in the womb? If I have withheld the poor from their desire, or have caused the eyes of the widow to fail, or have eaten my morsel myself alone, and the fatherless hath not eaten thereof, for from my youth he was brought up with me as with a father, and I have guided her from my mother's womb. If I have seen any perish for want of clothing, or any poor without covering, if his loins have not blessed me, and if he were not warmed with the fleece of my sheep, if I have lifted up my hand against the fatherless when I saw my help in the gate, then let mine arm fall from my shoulder blade, and mine arm be broken from the bone. For destruction from God was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness I could not endure. If I have made gold my hope, or have said to the fine gold, thou art my confidence. If I rejoice because my wealth was great, and because mine hand had gotten much, If I beheld the sun when it shined, or the moon walking in brightness, and my heart hath been secretly enticed, or my mouth hath kissed my hand, this also were an iniquity to be punished by the judge, for I should have denied the God that is above. If I rejoiced at the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him, neither have I suffered my mouth to sin by wishing a curse to his soul. If the men of my tabernacle said not, "Oh, that we had of his flesh, we cannot be satisfied," the stranger did not lodge in the street, but I opened my doors to the traveler. If I covered my transgressions as Adam by hiding my iniquity in my bosom, did I fear a great multitude, or did the contempt of families terrify me that I kept silence and went not out of the door? Oh, that one would hear me. Behold, my desire is that the Almighty would answer me, and that mine adversary had written a book. Surely I would take it upon my shoulder, and bind it as a crown to me. I would declare unto him the number of my steps. As a prince would I go near unto him. If my land cry against me, or that the furrows likewise thereof complain, if I have eaten the fruits thereof without money, or have caused the owners thereof to lose their title, let thistles grow instead of wheat, and cockle instead of barley. The words of Job are ended. And that's 31. In which Job saith, I ain't done nothing to deserve this shit. I was righteous, god damn it. And wishes away his wife to be married to somebody else if he's not telling the truth. Hunter says, what's after Job? Esther, Job, Psalms, Psalms. Yeah. Hunter says, this sounds like a description of an orgy. Grind and bow down over her. I strongly suspect that bow down over her is intended to be sexual in nature. Grind probably refers to grinding meal. You know, let my wife prepare the meal of some other man if I have been bad. Yeah, another lengthy protestation of innocence and former righteousness. And that's it. What did I miss?
What about the end where it said the word Job or something? This is going to be the last time we talk in the first person.
Oh, that'd be nice, wouldn't it? Julie asks, what if what if he was indeed telling the truth when he said the words of Job are ended? Is that going to be the last time Job speaks, actually? Wouldn't that be awesome? That'd mean we were drawing near to the end of the book, surely. Lone, I don't have any idea what you're talking about when you say you've never seen chicks grinding. I've got some hardcore vegan friends on Twitter who have shared pictures of chicks being ground. I don't know what that means in this context. Yeah, just more protestations of Job, and he finally runs out of gas and says, I'm done talking about this shit. Time for JD and Coke, methinks. Yeah, this book makes me want to drink too. We've been going almost an hour. The next chapter's a little on the short side. You want to do one more? Yeah, exactly, brain bug. Bow down before the one you serve. Well, that's just this entire fucking book, isn't it? Just All right. 32. So these three men ceased to answer Job, because he was righteous in his own eyes. Then was kindled the wrath of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite of the kindred of Ram. Against Job was his wrath kindled, because he justified himself rather than God. Also against his three friends was his wrath kindled, because they had found no answer, and yet had condemned Job. Now Elihu had waited until Job had spoken, because they were elder than he. When Elihu saw that there was no answer in the mouth of these three men, then his wrath was kindled. And Elihu the son of Barachel the Buzite answered and said, I am young, and ye are very old. Wherefore I was afraid, and durst not shew you mine opinion. I said, days should speak, and the multitude of years should teach wisdom. But there is a spirit in man, and the inspiration of the Almighty giveth them understanding. Great men are not always wise, neither do the aged understand judgment. Therefore, I said, hearken to me, I will also shew you mine opinion. Behold, I waited for your words, I gave ear to your reasons, whilst ye searched out what to say. Yea, I attended unto you, and behold, there was none of you that convinced Job, or that answered his words. Lest ye should say, we have found out wisdom, God thrusteth him down, not man. Now he hath not directed his words against me, neither will I answer him with your speeches. They were amazed, they answered no more, they left off speaking. When I had waited, for they spake not, but stood still, and answered no more, I said, I will answer also my part, I also will shew mine opinion. For I am full of matter, the spirit within me constraineth me. Behold, my belly is as wine which hath no vent, it is ready to burst like new bottles. I will speak that I may be refreshed, I will open my lips and answer. Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's person, neither let me give flattering titles unto man. For I know not to give flattering titles. In doing so, my Maker would soon take me away. And that's 32. All right, so we're done with the three friends, and apparently we're done with the speech of Job, but we ain't done with the book, because we've got Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite of the kindred of Ram. So up jumps this little whippersnapper. He says, look, y'all old as fuck, and I figured y'all might know what you were talking about. So I waited and waited and waited while y'all talked and talked and talked, and y'all ain't said shit. It's all just been repetition. Bunch of old men gibbering by the rubbish heap. None of you convincing the others. So I know I'm not old. I know I'm not held to be wise. But I've got thoughts, damn it. Thoughts and opinions. I got shit to say. And now that y'all ain't talking no more, by God, I'm gonna fucking give you a piece of my mind. So, there's a cliffhanger. We're going to end with that chapter. We'll pick up again on Monday with the words of Elihu, the son of Barachel, the Buzite of the kindred of Ram. Young whippersnapper who's going to tell off all these old fuckers and give them the wisdom of youth. I have a suspicion this is going to be fun. It's going to be flowery and it's going to be full of repetition because it's a book of poetry. But this kid, Eli, who, yeah, smart ass. And we've got a sing-off happening in the chat. I like it. Paul says, when I finish this book, I should auction it off. You know, if the damn thing survives that long, I might do that. But it's falling to pieces right now, and we're only halfway through. Alrighty. Well, I'm so glad this book has come to the point that it has, because I was getting tired and frustrated. And I'm so glad that we've got the introduction of a new character and one with a different attitude, because these four fuckers were getting annoying. So I'm going to be looking forward to Monday to see what Mr. Elihu has to say. This young whippersnapper who's going to tell off the old fuckers and bring them the wisdom of youth. I don't know what I'm going to title it. I'm starting to run out of job puns. But we'll find out. So, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you for keeping the chat as busy and entertaining as it had been. Has been. I can talk, I promise. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out if you can find it. Apparently it's gone for a walk and is having trouble being found. Much like the reasoning behind the actions of God. It's kind of a long reach, but I think I got it. Alrighty. We will see y'all again on Monday. Patrons, we'll hope to see you again tomorrow. Until we congregate again, wherever that happens to be, as we always say, everybody take care, be safe, stand against hate, wear your damn mask, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, y'all.